see many people learning these days. I never took a class in wine. This was something that I taught myself. Incidentally, one of the things that really bothers me is the term wine appreciation. You know, we're always thinking about teaching people to appreciate wine as if it's something genteel that a good bourgeois society should know something about. And it misses completely the emotional connection that I think people need to have wine to really get into it. So my wine studies were almost very organic. I grew up in the 70s, which is a little bit more permissive than today. And I used to write beer reviews for my high school newspaper. Back when the drinking age was 18, but of course, you know, I was still in high school. I hadn't quite made it there, but it was an era of experimentation, and this was something that just sort of came naturally to me. And it wasn't until many years later that I realized, you know, that very early on I had taken on a role that I was well suited for. But I really got into wine as a graduate student at the University of Texas in Austin, a lovely place back in the 80s. And I found, as fascinated as I was with eating, with cooking, wine was a natural and essential part of the assembling of the meal. And so my friends and I used to go shopping for food. We used to go shopping for wine, and most of the time they were the big 1.5 liters of Minervois. There was no thriving California wine industry at the time. And I had a lot of experience drinking cheap wine and looking for values in wine. And I find that these experiences, which grew into obsessions for me, were just kind of were critical in how I developed a feeling of where wine belongs. Part of a meal on the table with family, with friends, part of an ensemble that doesn't venerate wine as something fetishistic or something that you have to chase after. It's just part of a meal, and that's a wonderful thing. Eventually, as I got more serious about wine, I did my own tastings. I did a lot of travel to vineyards and producers, and I was able to educate myself, and perhaps that sort of education is responsible for certain eccentricities that I might have in my attitudes towards wine. But I think it was very important to me because I learned to think about wine in terms of drinking it, not in terms of tasting it. And I think very often we confuse the two. Our wine education system in this country begins by teaching people how to taste wine, which is an exercise that can be very useful in some point of one's development as a wine lover. But